everyone, this is Yoan and welcome back to a new episode. Today I would love to share a fun quilt project. So we're gonna make a denim quilt from recycled jeans. I'm pretty sure many of you already have those old pair of jeans or jacket that you're not sure yet whether to donate or to upcycle. So if you prefer the latter option, this may be a cool project for you to try. For this quilt, I use my son's old jeans that I have set aside since kindergarten. They are too worn to be donated anyway, so I figure why not make a memory quilt out of them. The finished measurements of this quilt are about 55.5 inch by 60.5 inch. I designed this quilt so that it may accommodate larger and smaller pieces of fabric so you can make the most out of each item. I recommend for you to have at least 3 shades of denim. It can be all blue, or you can also throw in khaki pants or cargo pants in moderation for a little bit of hint of variation of color. Just don't use any sweatpants or anything that is too stretchy. Now, since the jeans fabric is pretty thick already, I did not use any batting for this quilt, but instead I used the minky fabric as the backing fabric so that the quilt will be nice and cozy and warm, but not too bulky and manageable to be quilted. Alright guys, as usual, you can go get the PDF pattern at YoanSewingStudio.com. I will put the link somewhere in the description box down below. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Okay, the first thing that we're gonna do is to extract all the fabrics from the jeans. Cut your garment in a way that you can make the most out of each piece according to the cutting instructions. Make sure to stay clear from seams or any type of embellishment. So you just want the fabric. If there is any discoloration from your jeans from wearing and washing, make sure to take advantage of those, because those discoloration really gonna add more interesting look to your quilt. To make the unit A, you wanna lay out fabric 1, 2, and 3, just like shown on the screen right now. First, we're gonna sew fabric 1 and 2 right sides together. Use 1/4 inch seam allowance, and for the needle, I recommend to use size 90/14 when piecing the patchwork. Press the seams open and then sew fabric 3. Since we're gonna press all the seams open for this project, make sure to shorten the stitch length than usual so that your stitching will not come unravel easily. The finished block should be 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch, and you want to make in total of 36 blocks. To make the unit B, you want to arrange fabric 4, 5, and 6, just like shown on the screen right now. Start by sewing fabric 5 and 6. And then sew fabric 4. The finished block should be 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch, and you want to make in total of 36 blocks. For the unit C, you want to cut 36 pieces of 5.5 inch squares. And for the unit D, you want to cut 12 pieces of 10.5 inch by 5.5 inch rectangles. Most of jeans that are manufactured nowadays is always have some kind of degree of stretchiness to it. In that case, feel free to apply lightweight interfacing to the wrong side of your fabric after you cut or after you piece the patchwork. Cut the interfacing smaller so that it will be away from the seam allowances. I only apply interfacing on some of the pieces that feel stretchier than the rest of the fabric. Once you've got all of the units ready, you wanna go ahead and lay them out. Each row should have 3 unit A's, 3 unit B's, 3 unit C's, and 1 unit D. The order that you arrange the units, it's totally up to you. There is really no particular layout that you need to follow, as long as you have the same composition on each row. What I did though, I purposely placed unit C and unit D on the edges of each row, just because I wanted the patchwork units, the unit A and B, to be more obvious on the center part of the quilt. When you lay out the patchwork units, try to alternate between unit A and unit B, and you may want to differentiate the direction of each unit for more interesting look, and also so that you don't have to match the seams when you sew them together later. So you want to lay out all of the units in 12 rows, and this is my quilt layout. Once you're happy with yours, you can stitch all the units together 1 row at a time. Once you've stitched all the units of each row, the next step will be to join all the rows together in the order that you have arranged them. So here I'm going to join my row 1 with row 2, lay them right sides together, and I like to use pin just to match the seams. Stitch with 1/4 inch seam allowance and then press the seams open. And here is my finished quilt top. Alright, the next step will be to add the backing to the back of your quilt top. As I mentioned earlier, I skipped the batting for this quilt since the denim fabric is pretty thick already. So instead we're going to use minky fabric, which provides the warmth without being too bulky. Once you've layered and basted the quilt top and the backing fabric, you may quilt as desired. I recommend to just go easy and simple. Quilting with your walking foot may be a better option than trying to do free motion quilting. Unless you are super expert and know what you're doing, go for it. For my quilt, I simply do straight lines on diagonal angle about 3 inches apart using my walking foot, of course. If you want, you can also hand quilt this or hand tie the quilt, whichever one works best for you. The last step will be to bind the quilt. I use the usual quilt binding method. I made my binding from leftover of a flannel fabric. You can obviously use regular cotton quilting. If you need a tutorial on how to bind your quilt, I made a separate video, so you can check that out. I will put the link somewhere in the description box down below. And here is my finished quilt. I am very happy with the result. And that's pretty much it for today's tutorial, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and you would give this quilt project a try. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.